My name is Amber, and I'm one of the iTrack Bites ambassadors. I recently wrote a blog post about the Whole30 program, and I'm here today to answer some follow-up questions with the help of an expert. So joining me today is certified Whole30 coach, Sasha Rashid. Hi, Sasha.
I'm excited to be here.
We're excited to chat with you. All right, so I'm going to jump right into the questions that we got from everyone on Instagram and through the blog post.
Awesome.
So first of all, can you just explain the Whole30 in layman's terms?
Absolutely. So it is a 30-day elimination. I like to say that it's more of a reset. So you're going to spend 30 days eliminating the most problematic foods. So these are the foods that affect most people in a negative way, or many people, I should say. So this is going to be things like dairy, gluten and grains, legumes. So that means no peanuts. It's going to include alcohol. It's going to include sugar, any type of added sugar. It's also going to include many of the additives that also are problematic. So that's stuff like MSG and carrageenan. And it's also going to include not getting on the scale. So for 30 days, you're going to omit all of those things. And then after we finish that up, we're going to bring them all back in. So we're going to reintroduce them. So something I think people don't realize about the Whole30 program is that it's only 30 days for elimination. And really the work and the best part of it comes from that reintroduction. When we reintroduce things slowly to see how they affect us, not just physically, with our stomach and our skin, but also mentally. A lot of people, have brain fog and stuff like that from things like gluten and dairy. So it's really more of an experiment than anything else.
Thank you. That was a really good explanation. And good to know about the peanuts. I think another one is corn.
No corn.
We always want to call it a vegetable. It's not.
It's not. But what I will say is the stuff that you can have any vegetable except corn and except no lima beans. They're not technically a vegetable either. But you can have all the fruit you want, meat, seeds, nuts, oils, healthy fats, a few other exceptions in there. But there's so much that you can eat. I should add that too.
And what made you want to try it? Was it weight loss or just health reasons? And I'll answer as well after you go.
Awesome. So not weight loss related at all. Whole30 doesn't, sell itself as a weight loss program. It truly is an elimination. And I think once you go through that, you really see how foods affect you. And many of those foods that we cut out are things that affect us negatively, like sugar and, gluten and grains that are, things that sometimes, cause us to eat more because just, scientifically, we crave things like that because of what they're made of. I was having tons of stomach issues. I didn't know what the issue was. Through a few rounds of Whole30, I realized that gluten was a huge one for me, ended up pushing me to see a doctor and to really advocate for myself. And I was diagnosed with celiac in 2017. So it really, really was life-changing for me to figure that out. Prior to that, I had seen other doctors, and that's never anything they thought was the issue, because a lot of my issues, while I had some stomach issues, a lot of my problems were joint related and migraines and things that they didn't connect to an issue that's, a digestive issue.
How many times have you done a Whole30 and how would you compare each time?
So that's a good question. My first was in 2013, and that was when you weren't allowed to have white potatoes. And I'm a really picky eater. So anyone who works with me, I'm very honest about that and upfront about it. The first time I did it, I basically only ate eggs, chicken, sweet potatoes, and green beans and carrots. So it did not go well. I did it, I felt good, but I was bored and there wasn't as many commercial products then that, were Whole30 compatible or Whole30 approved. So I struggled and reintroduction didn't go well because then when I was done, I just wanted to eat other things. I think I've done probably around 5 or 6 full rounds since then, but I really love a mini reset. So once you have done one full Whole30, if you find yourself slipping, doing a mini reset is a great way to, spend anywhere from, I'd say, 7 to 14 days to reset to those Whole30 basics, get your body back on track and get you feeling your best again so you can get back to food freedom.
When do you think is the best time to start a Whole30?
So I'm going to first and foremost say anytime. January and September are the 2 biggest ones in the Whole30 community, but anytime that's good for you. Check your calendar. You want to make sure you don't have like huge life-changing events on the calendar, like your own wedding, where obviously you're going to want to have that opportunity to eat some foods for you that are going to be worth it. So check the calendar, make sure nothing too big is going on that you can't schedule around. But don't wait. There's, it's 30 days. It's, whatever 30 days are going to work best for you. And if that's the first of the new year, January, that's great. But if it's, May 3rd, that's okay too.
And so this question, I think you touched on a little bit. How do you track it? So I know your answer is you don't track it.
Totally. But there's even a flip side to that. So one of my favorite Whole30 resources is the day-by-day planner by Melissa Urban. It kind of walks you through each day and what you're going to feel. And there is a space there to write down what you ate. Portion sizes, we have a meal template within Whole30. You can find all that information online and it's all completely free. But there's not as big of a focus on tracking and on that. Portion sizes are important because you want to make sure you have enough protein, you're having enough fat, you've got that template is covered. You're getting everything you need. But the goal is that, you shouldn't need to be tracking in the conventional sense, but that doesn't mean that you can't, because there's plenty of people that, especially once you've already done a Whole30 or you have another, system that you use, something like iTrack Bites, that you can be accountable in something else too. So I'll let you talk about your experience with that.
Sure. So I've done it both ways. I think the first time I did a full Whole30, I followed all the rules. Maybe not the scale. So I always get on the scale. But in the resets I've done, and then when I did the September Whole30 this year, I did track it, mostly because I'm still focused on understanding the right portion sizes for some of like the fattier foods. So the nut butters, the sauces, the dressings. So I think, yeah, whatever works for you. If you think tracking would stress you out, don't do it. But if you just want to maintain a habit of tracking that you've had, you can still get all these benefits and maybe even look back on things where, certain days you felt better than other. Maybe you ate too many snacks one day or, things like that. So you can track just officially.
1,000%. And I think, like I said, the book that Melissa wrote has a space for you to write down everything you ate, and you don't have to spend any money to do the Whole30. You can literally just take a notebook and write down, here's what I ate for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and my snacks. And it is a good way to look back to see how a food made you feel. And also maybe a day when you were feeling extra hungry, you could go back and look and say, I only ate one egg and a piece of bacon for breakfast, and that wasn't balanced, and I didn't follow the meal template, and that's probably why I was still hungry.
Right. So how hard is this to do as a vegetarian?
So good question. Obviously meat is, allowed as long as it doesn't have any added sugar or additives. Like we said, the things that are off the plan for those 30 days. It's definitely tougher as a vegetarian because you want to make sure you're getting all your protein sources in, and things like tofu are going to be out. So I would say if you're a vegetarian who eats eggs and nuts, and even if you're a vegetarian that eats fish, if you're like a pescatarian, it would probably be a little bit easier, but certainly not impossible.
Can diabetics do this?
Absolutely. Always check with your medical professional first. That's, if you're a diabetic or not. But we have coaches that are, specialize in working with clients who are diabetic. And we've seen really great results from diabetic clients who have been able to, lower their medication or, just get their numbers to a better place, completely through diet. So I would say it's definitely something a diabetic can do. You want to do it under the care of your physician. I would advise letting them know that you're doing this and talking about it with them as well, but absolutely as a diabetic.
That's great to know. We have a lot of questions about different plans and iTrack Bites for diabetics. So knowing that this might be something that would even lower medication is totally really great. Yeah. What days during the Whole30 were the hardest for you? And
I know you're gonna you'll have an opinion on this too. I think the beginning is the hardest. I would say days 1 through 3, you're really riding the high of something exciting and new, and you have new recipes, and hopefully you got to do some fun grocery shopping. And then by days 4 and 5, there's something in the Whole30 community called Kill All the Things. And that's kind of when the detox starts. And there's a lot of things going on in your body. Your hormones are re-regulating because all of a sudden there's no sugar, and there's some real side effects that you feel from that withdrawal. headaches and moodiness and sometimes breakouts and, even sometimes some digestive issues. So I think getting through that period, maybe days like 4 through 8 are key. Because then once you get through that, hopefully at that point you've reached the top of the hill and it's going to be a little bit more smooth sailing from there. So I would say if you can get past those first like 10 days or so, you're golden. What about you though, from your rounds?
I would agree. I think the last 10 days are difficult too, just because you feel like you've been doing it for such a long time and kind of the interesting aspects of it have worn off. You do so much chopping. You kind of just chopping. You end up eating a lot of Chipotle, which there are a lot of foods at Chipotle that are Whole30 approved.
There are, and that's the time I recommend utilizing services like Chipotle. Chipotle, Zoe's Kitchen is another one. They are completely Whole30 vetted. There's tons of stuff on the menu. There's plenty of other places too. Those are just 2 of the big commercial ones that are nationwide. Feel free, treat yourself. If it is Whole30, you can eat it. So don't get wrapped up in, what I should and shouldn't eat. If it's Whole30 compatible, you can eat it.
Exactly. All right. Last question, and this is probably just helpful for anyone on a diet, especially this time of year. What are your tips for perseverance?
So I think a huge one, and something I talk about with all my clients, is figuring out why you're doing this. And I know this is just in general, when you're resetting your life in any way, whether it's health or weight or habits, why are you doing it? Have that written down, really get to the root of it. And you can remind yourself, that when the days are hard, I have to remember that I'm doing this because, I want to, live a longer life for my kids, or I want to, get healthy so that I can, run a marathon, whatever your why might be. I think that's a big one. I think when you can kind of have something to go back to, it helps. Also, I think you have to remember that it's only 30 days. The whole point of Whole30 is not to eat like this for the rest of your life. It's 30 days. We want you to have the most inclusive diet that you can have. And that's why the reintroduction is so important. We hope that there'll be plenty of foods that you will be able to eat, that you're not going to have issues with, but you'll be able to figure those out. And the ones that do give you problems, you figure out when it's worth it to eat them. So I would say knowing your why, and remembering that it is only 30 days and you can do this for 30 days. You absolutely can. Millions of people have. I promise you can do it. Yes,
I agree. I've done it 3 times and I definitely have doubted myself every time. So that's anyone can do it. Anyone who enjoys Coke Zero and gives it up for 30 days, you can do it. So
absolutely. And having a coach is a great resource. It's somebody that can keep you accountable. It's somebody who can keep you motivated. There are tons of us that are Whole30 certified through Whole30. There's free Facebook groups. There's so many different resources out there. Find a buddy, find someone that can help you stay accountable. And that always helps too.
Absolutely. And if anyone has any additional questions, either comment them below or definitely reach out to us through social. And thank you so much, Sasha, for your time.
Thank you so much. Yep, I'm on Instagram at SoftBoiledSash. So if you have any questions or you're looking for a coach, be sure to come and say hello.
Great. Thank you.
Awesome.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye, guys.